Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling in from. We're super grateful to have you here today for our next Common Ground webinar series presentation. Before I introduce today's presenters, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping notes for you. First, totally forgot. My name is Henrik Bick. I am here with the communications team at the Music Business Association, and I'm grateful to be here with you today. In order to make the most of today's webinar, if you'd like to network with one another in the chat, be sure to change your chat settings to everyone. That way, everyone who is here present today can see your messages back and forth. We did open the chat a little while ago, so it should be running smoothly, but I'll double check that once we run through this walkthrough today. If you have any questions for today's presenters, we have a dedicated Q&A box on your Zoom dashboard. If you hit that button, you'll be able to, in that dashboard, type in your questions. The folks will be able to see it, and then we will respond to them at the end of today's webinar. As with all of our sessions, this webinar is going to be recorded and will be available on MusicBiz's website at end of business today. We'll be dropping a link in the chat later on today where you can go and access that in case you missed an insight that you want to relive from today's session or want to share it with a colleague. If you're a MusicBiz member, this webinar is available to you throughout the tenure of your membership with MusicBiz. If you're a non-member, you can access it for the next 3 months. Outside of our webinars, just a couple of notes on what's going on for Music Biz 2025. In case you don't know, it's taking place in Atlanta, Georgia for the very first time ever this year, happening May 12th through the 15th at the Renaissance Atlanta Waverly. If you visit our website, musicbiz.org, or you go to the dedicated Music Biz conference website, that's musicbiz2025.com, you can find our updated interactive agenda. We've been adding new additional programs and our first round of speakers as well. So you can see what we'll be talking about in this year's conference and all of the topics it ranges, as well as who is confirmed to speak at our conference at this point. We'll be updating it weekly now through May, so be sure to check back often. MusicBiz2025.com is also your best place to register for the event, access discounted hotels and flights, as well as learn about our other sponsorship opportunities and the surrounding Atlanta area. Outside of Music Biz, when you're at our website, you can find the latest episode of our Future of What podcast. It features Dr. Chaim Newman of the Amber Health Organization and Teresa Walters of Music Cares. They talk about a really exciting mental health study looking at the impacts of what ready access to mental health resources has for music industry employees. Super insightful conversation. Later on in the spring here, winter and spring, I should say, we have a couple episodes coming up with Atlanta-based music, tech, and entertainment professionals talking about why Atlanta is the best place to bring Music Biz 2025, why they're excited for the conference, and what y'all as potential attendees can look forward to too. So there's a lot of stuff on our website. Also, be sure to follow us on MusicBiz at MusicBiz Assoc on Instagram and LinkedIn. It's the best place to get up-to-date info outside of our email blast and website. But enough from me. You're not here to hear from me today. So please welcome from the Revelator team, Ahuva. Ahuva, take it away. I'll be kicking things off in 1 second here.
Yeah, here we go.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ahova Berger Burkhat. I am the Vice President of Marketing at Revelator, and I'm thrilled to be here today to discuss how independent music businesses can scale successfully while maximizing revenues. We have joining me today, we have Julian from Immigration Records, we have Matthias from Highvibes Distribution, and we have Seda from Rebellion Records. If you're not familiar with Revelator, we empower independent music businesses with the tools that they need to thrive on their own terms. We have a white label platform, an API, to streamline catalog management, delivery and distribution, royalty payments, rights administration, analytics, and a lot more. And this way, labels, distributors, and creatives can focus on what matters most, which obviously is all about making the music and getting it out in front of the fans. So, whether you're a label or a distributor or a music company, we at Revelator can help you scale faster, earn more, and run your business without friction. So, I am going to introduce the people who are joining me today. We have Julian. Julian, can you share a little bit about who you are and your business?
Sure. Thank you so much, Ahuba. I think my video I can't turn it on. Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. Hi everyone. My name is Julian. I am the founder of Immigration Records, an independent record label based in Miami, focusing mainly on boutique digital distribution for emerging artists. And we also produce a music conference festival within the Latin music space here in Miami as well in April. So thank you all for being here and happy to be here with all of you.
Matthias, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm trying to get my video on.
Here we go.
Okay. Thank you, Ahuva. I'm Matthias, the CEO and founder of Highvibes Distribution. Highvibes is a music distribution firm in Ghana, focusing on African artists. And we also up labels, maximize their potentials with tools available provided to them. So basically, that's what we do at Highvibes.
Thanks, Matthias. Seda, want to introduce yourself?
Hi, so nice to meet everyone. I'm Seta. I'm originally from Istanbul and I've been living in New York for the past 6 years. I originally have a background in social media, working in production for various TikTokers and YouTubers, especially in the city, and started my music, I guess, career working with Rebellion from the get-go in late 2023 in August. And we are a record label here based in New York that is mainly focusing on alternative and dark pop genres. And yeah, it's been really exciting.
Thank you all for joining us. So we're going to just jump right in and we're going to talk about the businesses and how you actually make money. So we're curious how many music businesses, they struggle with financial clarity, like with their royalty streaming and their accounts, the expenses, obviously cash flow management. So I'm curious, Seta, how does your business tackle some of these challenges?
Well,
Obviously.
first of all, for finances, we do spend a high ROI marketing number. So most of the marketing spends we do it in a way that we would see a return very quickly. Also, I think with finances, we do also rely a lot on AI tools to lead us and keep everything um, in contained and in checked so that it doesn't get more complicated as the business grows.
Okay, we're going to circle back and ask you at the end, probably tools. Which of the tools are you using AI tools for finance? Because I'm fascinated by that. I'm curious. Okay, you want to jump over to Julian? Do you want to jump in and give us your answer?
Yeah, so we are an independent label. We don't focus on high volume. We focus on quality. So we don't have a massive amount of artists that we work with. We have a smaller amount, and again, we focus on quality rather than quantity, and that's kind of what we've learned throughout the years. Initially, we were focusing on bringing on board many artists and distributing a lot of music, a lot of content. But now we found that this is the best way for us to go. In terms of royalty accounting, we do help ourselves with Revelator as a platform. It's for us. It's been a great support in terms of giving access to the artists that we work with, to a transparent way for them to see their accounting, their numbers, and for us it's also super helpful not having to process all those statements directly ourselves, but being able to do that through the platform. So it's easy for us, and we do value the the platform itself, which help us do most of our royalty accounting for the artists that we work with.
Love hearing that, obviously. Do you find that you struggle with clarity for understanding your cash flow, like management, when you're dealing with the time it takes for royalties to come in and other pieces of the business with your events that you're putting together and obviously having to put cash out? Is there a struggle with understanding how all of these pieces work together?
Yeah, definitely. Us as independent companies, in the process of growing and understanding where the money comes from and which are those waves throughout the year when we have certain amount of revenue, and then it might go up and might go down. So it's obviously a process of understanding that. We've been in business about 8 years with a record label and less than 4 years with a festival, so we are still bringing tools and people that can help us have a better understanding of how we manage cash flow. But obviously it's a challenge, and we're always finding ways to make it better.
Thank you. Matthias, what about you? What about your business in Africa, which is in Ghana, it's very different, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Ahuva. So when we're talking about financials, um, the first thing that works for us is the quality of the service we offer to the artists and the labels. That is, offering bespoke service, no matter how difficult it is per client. That's the first point of attention, letting the clients know, letting the artist know that, okay, with Highvibes, we can do this for you based on your demand, kind of maybe your banking issues or your metadata or whatever difficulty you might have, even if it's communication, that's what build the quality of the service. And once that is there, I feel that's one way of like, okay, get to use our platform. And when you're talking about financials, when we on our side is more of a volume-based business, and that on its own encourages like, okay, one artist tells the other, okay, with Highvibes, you're getting a quality service. With Highvibes, you don't need to wait 3 days to get an email. You can get on a call. You can reach out to a team that actually understands your language. That is one. And aside from that, also as well, we do we work with a lot of data with our A&R. For example, right now, let me use Nigeria as a case study. There's a big Afrobeat market already. Now, when you look at this big Afrobeat market, there are a lot of artists within this trend. We are not going for those artists. We are not like, okay, who are those going to be the next? Who's going to be the next Wizkid? Who's going to be the next Burna Boy? These artists are already doing very well already. It might be in a very small space. So we have A now targeted towards the local areas, from to university campus to communities. And these are artists that, okay, the numbers might not be as huge as, as an A-list artist, but these are artists with potential, um, consistency also as well. And those are the things in terms of financial. We look at, getting the right artist on board, who's going to be the next on board. And aside from that also, still providing quality service. Because if I can't get better, even if I can't get better with a distro that is living by my side, then why should I be there? Why not, just use a foreign distro that is miles away? So what we are preaching is, okay, we have something better, and that's what our motto has been from day one till now. And when you're talking about the reality matching, that's one of our areas where we've simplified and has actually given us an edge as a local distributor in the country. We partner with Revelator now for the past 4 years, and that alone has solved all the headaches when it comes to royalty matching, royalty payments. That has really solved the problem, at least up to like 95% or more. And the reason why we are still even having the lag is, for example, right now, we also, as I said earlier, we also offer publishing, and whereby importing the sales can be a bit more complex. So what we'll do on our hand is just take more time and still use the Revelator software as well. So when on our hand, the solution to that is the platform in which we are using, and a lot of local distros, will be like, okay, I'm going to send you a sales report via email. But here in iVibes, the situation is different. The artists are in front of their data themselves. They can make the decision themselves. And that alone gives the artist the confidence that, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how my song is performing. This is where I need to plan my next tour. This is the DSP in which I need to plan my marketing on. And that has really helped us also as well.
So I'm going to ask you a question in continuation of this for royalty payments. So you're in Africa, and we've discussed the fact that in your world there's a big issue of unbanked. So how do you or how does your team manage royalty payments in the world of unbanking? How do you ensure that the artists are actually getting paid in a relatively speedy manner for the market that you're in?
Okay, so the thing is understanding our market and being Afrocentric with whatever we are doing. For example, in Ghana, most of the artists will want to receive their payment via mobile money. This is a means of payment that is outside the normal banking setup, and regardless of the mode of payment or effects that needs to be involved, we still ensure that payment gets to artists as fast as within 48 hours. That's how swift it could be. That's how swift it is. Unlike, and that is why I said quality of service. Payment is
Yeah.
part of the quality of service. So now, why should an artist, go ahead to sign up with a distro that wants to pay via PayPal, where PayPal doesn't work in the continent, or in a situation whereby you have a bank, you are living in a country whereby the citizens have been banned from having a domiciliary US dollar account, and now your district wants to pay you in that currency. Now it still becomes a problem also as well. And there are even a lot of people. This is a continent whereby you still have a lot of people that are still unbanked.
Right.
So it's understanding that what happens in Togo is different to what happens in Ghana. What happens in Ghana is different to what happens in Nigeria. For Nigeria example, you
Yeah.
won't have the situation of mobile money. It's going to be directly to the bank, but most of the banks will still not accept a foreign payment inflow. Different with in Kenya where you have M-Pesa. So it's understanding each market to what it wants, and that is what we do at iVibes.
It's really interesting. Um, Thank you for that insight. I'm going to move over now to Julian. From your end, have you found that you have any special partnerships to deal with payments to your artists?
Well, so in the payment side, we offer easy ways for artists to receive payments. So, from PayPal, which is the easiest way, to Venmo, because we want to offer the possibility for artists to receive payments in a fast and easy way. So, we have not experienced any issues. I think at the end, the artist just wants to have clarity in terms of, what's the money that they're getting, what's the breakdown of that money, where does it come from, and they do have access to that information on the platform. They can download the statements, they can see every single penny, where does it come from. So as I was saying before, since we are a boutique label, we want to offer those forms of payment to artists that are easy for them, that they know already how they work. So we do work mainly with PayPal and Venmo sometimes.
Have you considered the world of Web3, of paying in crypto? Is that something ever come up with any of the artists in your label?
Yeah, so we are very pro Web3. We do like all the crypto world, and I know you guys are also very proactive in that area. Um, We were exploring that space during the NFT boom, right? When all the NFT situation was happening around the world. And we did had a few artists that were, looking to get paid in crypto. That has slowed down a little bit, and we haven't, received much requests at this point, since the boom of the crypto and NFT world kind of like slowed down a little bit. But I'm sure it's gonna come back. I'm pro crypto payments and all the blockchain. I think that's where at some point the industry is moving to, and payments are gonna go through there. So yeah, we're very open to work on that side as well.
That is exciting. Thinking about the future and how things are going to change. Where none of us are ever sure about what's going to happen, but Revelator likes to keep focused on the evolution of what's happening next because it's important to us to make sure that all of the customers we work with and that we partner with are prepared for the future. So it's nice to know that some of the customers are have the same share the same views of thinking about the future, and their artists are also thinking about the future of where the industry is gonna might head. Because who knows where we're all gonna end up in 5 years from now. Um, Seda, what about your label?
I think some of the things that Julian said here actually resonated in the sense of we also do use the uh tools Revelator has in terms of being transparent and the artist being able to see um their finances and royalties as well. We also actually uh formed a child parent account with our artists and have given them access to their portals to even take that a step forward so that if they want to update something, even they have access to their songs and their own distributions, which we thought was valuable since, why don't won't we take that extra step? Um, and then in terms of finances, we did uh build an internal team. So that has obviously sped things up. But like Julian said, I think especially in the beginning stages, we did also use tools such as PayPal and Venmo, since that is, like Julian said, very quick and shows results and gets the job done. Um, but yeah, currently we have an internal team that we're grateful that is kind of figuring that out.
Okay, great. Um, so in our world, we see a lot of issues of fraud and artificial streaming. And out of curiosity, Seda, do you deal with fraud at all or artificial streaming with like your artists that are part of your label?
We were lucky enough that we have not seen any fraud. However, I think the closest thing would be sometimes obviously people who are not artists claim a song,
Right.
whether it is on platforms like TikTok or Instagram. And I think um incidents like that has been the closest thing to fraud. Though we've always been able to fix it generally through contacting Revelator and the response rate being high. Um and yeah, that has been the biggest issue for that remark, but besides that, we've been lucky enough to not have that problem.
Have you had any artists get put onto a spammy playlist that has messed up their numbers and then you have to like rectify that issue?
Not that, but we did actually have a wrong artist's whole album once get linked to one of our artists, which was really interesting since the artist that this person's music album, whole album, did link to was one of our heavy metal acts, and the other artist was definitely not a heavy metal act. So that I guess was really interesting. But again, fixed it, and now is just a little memory we look back at. Luckily, it didn't have a huge impact in terms of algorithms, probably because we fixed it quickly. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, not really, but similar things have happened.
That's good to hear. How about you, Matthias? Do you have issues? Have you had issues with fraud or issues with artificial streaming with your artists?
Oh God. As a DIY distributor, this is something we tackle on a daily basis,
Yeah.
like every blessed day. Either it comes to copyright fraud or um ES streaming, it's a big issue. And in as much as a distributor, we are doing a lot, employing tools, using artificial intelligence, um, and human intelligence, everything, to combat this. I still feel it's especially AS streams, it's a field whereby I feel like the DSPs also seems to do more, and it's a whole lot. And here is the case, ignorance is still playing at large, whereas artists want to get their song promoted. You know, Song is being flagged for artificial streaming, and you'll get the label getting back to you. Okay, we paid this website, to promote our songs. So what have we done? I paid. And the thing is, yeah, you paid, but you paid the wrong person. And the thing is, it's super annoying. I myself, I might be on Meta or maybe on Facebook, on Instagram, and I'll see ads like, okay, promote your songs, and I'll be like, who is approving these ads? Who is allowing these ads to go out? Like, I feel it should be a cross joint battle, not just one. Because if I see ads on Instagram, I I might feel like, okay, yes, it's a valid ad, running you click on it, it takes you to a website, you pay a couple of dollars, you get streams. Then after 60 days, you get knocked down by maybe Spotify, and it's a stream, and the data is there to show. But the thing is, artists still don't just get it. So a lot of it keeps happening. Even if you educate a certain set of artists today, in the next week you have a certain artist to deal with. So what we do is, when we get notified by the DSP that, okay, there's a volume of your release or across your catalog that is involved with Airstream. If the volume is way, way low, if it's less than 1,000, we still give warnings to these artists. And aside from that, aside from waiting for the data from the DSPs, we try our best. Our team tries their best a lot to like check this data on a day-to-day basis. So even before the DSPs get back, we get to reach out to the artists, either to warn or to to just like take down the release. And sometimes you feel, if you are behind the system receiving the emails back from the artist, sometimes you might feel emotional, like, okay, this person, I've invested my life in my music, I've done this in my music. But the thing is, it is fraud.
Yeah.
So I feel, but if the DSP is also, that's one thing I keep saying, can also identify this easily. You don't wait till when, okay, at least if within 2 3 days, if it's for, lets the artist know, you can reach out back to whatever company you use. And also all these companies and all these funny websites promoting promising artists ads, they are not invisible, they are all out there, and I feel they could be tracked down. And one thing I keep telling artists is, if you want to run a promotion, you need to plan it yourself. You can't just sit somewhere and next. Okay, if you're working with a theme, the theme, you need to work with the theme and organize and understand what you are doing. Okay, you want to run ads from Meta towards your song. You need to be a part of it as an independent artist. You can't just sit down somewhere and just send a couple of dollars to someone and expect the magic to be done. If you're not active with your craft, your business, your profession, you will end up spending the money in the wrong place. And it should be of common sense also as well to independent artists that, okay, why would you pay someone a couple of dollars and the person is promising you an exact number of streams? Like, how are you so certain that when you spend this money, you're definitely going to get it? Because you can spend all the money and still not get the streams. So if there's a guarantee, you're running the marketing or promotion and they give you certain level of guarantee, not even impressions, that should be a red flag for you. So it's really a very big issue for DIY distributors. Unlike labels, it's easier for labels because you know your artist. Yes, we do a QIC for artists. We use Identify to verify them, to do everything. But we are talking about tens of thousands of artists. And this is really a big issue. I'm very sure this is not applicable to iVibes alone, to any distributor out there. And for copyright fraud, we have a lot of tools with the support of Revelator, our own in-house tools also as well. We are tracking on that, and we are really battling with that. So with fraud, it's a nightmare. It's a big nightmare because it's so annoying, and it's not helping the industry in any way.
There's no question about it. It's a very big problem with fraud in the industry, and so many artists who are uneducated about how to market. And if we went after the companies that offered these services, these fraudsters, in essence, they would just rebrand as a different company. So, because there has been conversations between the different distributors about knowing who these companies are on a larger scale, not necessarily every single vendor that's out there, and what to do about it. Because if we went after them, they would just start off again, and then we wouldn't know who they are. So right now, we can
Um,
keep our eye. There's the Music Fraud Alliance that a lot of the bigger distributors are all members of, and there's a lot of conversations about how to combat this issue, this big industry issue. We are all focused on this from our end, at least, from getting being the pipes to bring it to the DSPs. We're all very much aware of this issue and trying to figure out better tools to cut it down. So, Julian, I mean, you have a record label, so you obviously do your due diligence, you know your artists, but do you have issues with AS, with artificial streaming, with being put on a playlist by accident or on purpose? Like,
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. We've had those issues, especially at the beginning of our operation, where we were trying to understand, you know, who our customers were, where were they coming from, and when you're starting operations, you're a new company, you're also trying to understand, your business and who's coming to you. Since we are a boutique distribution slash label, we don't have an open pipeline to anyone to just go ahead and distribute music. So that's an advantage, and we have the chance to have a conversation with the artist before, know who they are, understand what type of music are they going to be releasing. But we did had issues, of course, within the Latin world, especially with reggaeton. There's, I mean, since it's one of the mainstream genres within Latin music, so of course many playlisting for this specific genre, and of course artists looking to get more streams through playlists, right? So we did have those issues at the beginning. Obviously, with a close work with Revelator, getting the reports on artificial streaming, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. We do understand what's happening with the artist, and sometimes it happens that depending on how big is the artist, their music might land on one of these playlists without them knowing what's happening. So artist A, he has good numbers, good streaming numbers, and other playlisters that use artificial streaming, they add their music to make it look that it's legit, right? So we did have those issues, and we had a specific artist that was getting many streams on his music, but his monthly listeners on Spotify, talking specifically about Spotify, were not that big. So we were concerned, like what's happening? Why is this artist getting a lot of streams, but his monthly listeners are not that big? So we did a deep investigation. We did a big research, and we ended up understanding that his music was landing on some of these playlists, but also since he's an artist that releases a lot of music, his music was getting a lot of algorithmic plays. So most of his streams were coming from there, but there were a few that were coming from artificial streaming. So we did this investigation, we learned what was happening, and nowadays we try to audit as much as we can. The artists that we work with, try to have a conversation with them. Recently, we were trying to onboard. We received an inquiry from a company in Pakistan that wanted to connect a YouTube channel. So we've been going back and forth with them, trying to understand what's their business, where's the music coming from, because they were requesting kind of like a white label YouTube admin channel for them, so they can connect all their channels. And we started looking at the channels, looking where the music was coming from, and it seems that this company was kind of like taking content from other channels and basically uploading them to their channel. So it requires a lot of of effort in terms of you know taking a little bit more time investigating who are the partners that you're working with, and maybe saving time and saving a lot of headaches in the future, and potentially having artists or other labels, because we also work with labels. So partners or labels or artists that are going to give you a lot of headaches and are going to be wasting you a lot of time doing just taking care of all that front. So yeah, that's kind of our experience with that side.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big industry issue. We're all dealing with it. It would be better if we all shared our tips and tricks to weed out the bad seeds from and block them and figure out a way to permanently block them everywhere so that they don't keep come circling back through different vendors. One day maybe we'll get there. Maybe with all of the LLMs and the chat GPTs, we'll get there. That's a
Exactly.
good use for AI. Let me ask a question though. So I know, Julian, this is a good question for you. What growing your business? What are
Mhm.
some unique strategies that and tools that you've used to grow your business?
Right. So yeah, I think we had a brief chat about this, but for us has been a matter of finding other ways of bringing value to the artists that we work with, right? So not staying specifically under the umbrella of being just a record label or a distribution company offering boutique services, but trying to find other ways to bring value. And one way that we were able to bring value to the artists that we work with, and kind of like being more competitive in terms of offering something different to the artists than any other either distribution company or record label would offer to them. We created this festival slash conference here in Miami, which takes place April 24th through 26th every year, and this
Wait,
is basically.
tell everybody the name of the event so they can also take a look at it if they.
Sure. Yeah, so it's called Unseen, and I'll put it in the chat with a UNSIN. So it's Unseen Music Conference and Festival. We are, inspired by what festivals such as South by Southwest. So we're trying to bring that value proposition, but within Latin music, right? And here in Miami, since Miami has experienced a huge growth in terms of of the music industry, in terms of the music business. Many companies opening offices here, many artists coming to live here. So we created this space as a space for people to network, to get more knowledge within what's happening within the Latin music industry, and also bring the artists that we work with to this network of people, the platforms, PR companies, marketing companies, more artists, songwriters, producers. So at the end, it's a big network that we're putting together, and we're putting them in the hands of the artists that we work with, because at the end, we have good relationships with these companies. So within this, this kind of like. It was not strategic, because we never thought about like, let's strategically create a festival. We just wanted to do it, uh, but it ended up opening doors for us to find new artists, also kind of like filter the quality of the artists within this event, listen to potential artists that we could work with. So at the end, for us, the learning was move a little bit away from the specific type of business within music that you're doing, which is distribution and label services, and find other way to bring value. And that way you might be able to scale your business and give more value to the artists that you work with. So this has been incredible for us. we're going through to our fourth edition this April, and tickets are on sale. So if anyone wants to come, please, yeah, we're always looking for people from different states and countries. We're making it more international. So definitely come see us and explore what this festival is about.
It's really cool. It reminds me, I don't know if I'm dating myself, but if anybody knows about um, I have to remember the Michelin star. The Michelin star came from the fact that Michelin tires wanted people to travel and to travel so that they would need to replace their tires. So they put together a guidebook of restaurants, of the best restaurants around or in driving distance. And that's how the Michelin star came to be. It was actually a marketing ploy for tires. So it's like
Wow.
it's the same concept. It's a similar
Mhm.
concept. You need to branch out in order to actually help the core of your business, and think creatively. And this is a very creative way to expand the network, the resources, and the A&R for the labels. Like that's very cool. It's very cool. What about you, Matthias? Do you have any really interesting like strategies that you're working with in order to grow your business specifically in Ghana or expanding outside of Ghana?
Okay, so we're not just limited to Ghana alone. I would say Sub-Saharan Africa and what we are doing, though, might slightly be different from what we've been doing in previous years at the earlier stage. But what we're doing is, identifying the artists, as I said, using more of data with our A&R to know that, okay, because at the end of the day, we're working with artists with potentials. Their success stories sells a lot also as well. And that is one of the keys at Highvibes. And aside from that, with what I mentioned earlier, the kind of service we offer, it's much more there's more of the culture in the service we offer, which means more Afrocentric, much more concerned about what the artist needs, how to plan their rollout. We're still, I think globally, aside from Africa, a situation whereby artists want to get their release out there within 2 days, you know, so quick. Okay, the song is born out of the studio. These are independent artists, no marketing budget. Just feel like okay, the song needs to be out there. And yeah, normally a producer might maybe order the shows, might feel like okay, the song needs to be processed a week or whatever. We get to understand the standpoint of this artist. Okay, this is why this needs to go. There's no budget. This song could go live this week, another goes live next week. And making the service available for the artist according to the way, it would work for them. That is it. We have scenarios whereby, artists, okay, if we have the releases, the whole catalog, and wants to have all the information to you as a distributor via WhatsApp, this the artwork to my song, this is my song, this is my metadata. I just want it out there. And it's more of like a tradition. And on the release day, oh, this is your fan link, get it. And the music is out live there. Okay. And these artists at the end of the day still have access to their dashboard, can monitor their performance and everything. That is convenience. And this is something that, they might not found, they might not be, they won't be able to get with distros that are actually not closer to them. So we understanding them and providing those flexibility, making ourselves more flexible. That's one of our key strategies, and that's what we are using. And because at the end of the day, we are dealing with Hindis that need a whole lot of support. These are artists that barely don't even have a team. These are artists that might not even have a manager. So we working with an artist, we understand, okay, it is we are working with you, but we need to take the pressure off you. And you know, as I say, the word of mouth is so powerful and it's really been working for us. And we just expanded of recent to East Africa, and it's definitely going to be a success as well.
That's exciting. Do you have any relationships with, let's say, producers or musicians or labels in the US who like sampling Western African music right now? Because music is really it has been really hot. On a piano and African beats have been hot for the past couple of years. Are you connecting the artists that are distributing through you to the West to other places or to other musicians so they can blow up even further?
Yes, we do a bit of cross-pollination within our ecosystem and outside, but it's still more of like, we have Afrobeat artists based in maybe in the US and Afrobeat artists in Nigeria coming together to do a song together, or Afrobeat artists based in the States. Okay, right now you need to do some media tour, media presence in maybe in Africa. We do assist with all that and ensure that okay, we get to balance the scope in both sides.
It's fascinating. All of this is fascinating. What about you, Seda? What about the label, your label, Rebellion? Do you have any unique ways that you guys are working on for growth for the business, or either strategies or tools that you use that you think other people might find really fascinating, or I would find fascinating?
I think our biggest growing tool has been UGC and focusing on niche areas in the internet, such as AMV edits, K-dramas, um, in little niches pockets of the internet. Um, Obviously, there are some songs that naturally catch on and become popular in these areas, but we've learned that through practice, it is actually a really good tool to build an audience and grab a part of a group that is already existent and introduce it to your music. So with a new artist or with a new rollout, what we generally do is do a trial run of all these niches, spending as little money as possible and seeing what catches. And generally from that moment on, we'll either go full force and um continue working and placing posts in these niches for that specific artist or song, or naturally there'll be a growth that we'll see. And we realize that with the UGC campaigns, there is generally a direct um flow for streams. So with UGC growth, we do see streams growing, and almost all of our artists that we have signed, um we I think their monthly listeners at least have gone 10x within the first year we've signed them. And I think it is because of the strategy we used through that. And then obviously we move on to more traditional ways of marketing, whether it is maybe doing a repack of a song that has performed well, with collaborations that serve a purpose to put our artists into the pockets of the music industry that we want them to be a part of, to also um, change their related artists in a way that we want. I think that is also very important. Um, and then if obviously editorials also there to back you up, that is an um, amazing thing that happens that also grows an artist. And then obviously besides that, we are not against doing any music videos or photo shoots that um serve a purpose, because we I also don't want an artist to spend so much money on a music video and not see a good outcome both financially and growth wise. I think something we really care about over here at Rebellion is that every artist does make an income out of their music and actually can just sustain themselves through their art. I think in music that is sadly very rare, mainly because of the way most major labels are structured and the deals are structured. So I think, yeah, even with our marketing campaigns, we have the intention of spending where it is needed to be spent,
Yeah.
spending cautiously, and then having the biggest outcome for the artists and eventually with the artist's success, our success.
That sounds that sounds great. Now, I'm a marketer, right? And at my core, I'm a data-driven marketer. I like data. So, out of curiosity, what tools are you using to track data and to actually see the movement?
I think one, we have a whole team behind UGC who is also very interested in AI. And I bet if they were here in the room, they would go crazy with the subject. But I know that like to look once we start posting stuff, we like to see where streams are peaking. And then with AI tools, we'll also it is very easy to get a big amount of information and kind of get a summary. I think that is very beneficial, especially when you're working for several campaigns and several artists, and especially looking into hundreds of thousands of views and streams. I think in terms of having, for example, a chart and having AI analyze that and summarize it to you, makes it very easy. And I think it also makes it easy for other people, such as myself, who are in the team who may not understand the analytics that goes into um like the depths of it, and
Yeah,
it simplifies it. So I
sure.
think it also just helps communication through the company and the team. Um, and then in terms of my role, I like to use AI such as ChatGPT just like to clear my communication, and sometimes in full transparency just speed things up for my process. Um yeah, so in those senses it's really useful. I wish I could give an even more in-depth answer, but sadly that may not be um
Next,
my job.
next webinar, we'll get the rest, we'll get the team, we'll get the data team to go into.
Exactly.
I'll
Get
geek
the
out on
team and
that
you
over.
will get along.
Okay, I really want to thank Julian, Seda, and Matthias for coming here, for sharing insights into your businesses. We all know that the indie music space is so unique and that each different business has its own DNA, its own strategy, its own goals, own music that it's putting out. And so, like, to hear the three of you sharing your insights is really helpful, I think, for the rest of the community. And I really appreciate you joining us today. I think that we have 10 more minutes. We have 7 more minutes really, but we can keep going for a little bit longer. And I assume that the community here has a lot of questions they want to ask, and I would love to open it up to let them ask questions. So I'm going to actually ask Henrik if you can read out the questions. If people have questions, Henrik, if you can take over to reading the questions, I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And just from the music biz side, I want to say thank you so much for y'all for being here today and sharing your time and your insights. We truly appreciate it. And thank you to Revelator for hosting today's webinar. We're grateful to have you here today. We do have some questions. If we don't get to all of them, I'll be sure to pass them on to the broader team and we will be able to answer them offline for you. So, first question here is from Arthur. Kind of more of a overarching question. Will boutique labels or DIY distributors develop the next crop of global megastars, or will major labels still, quote unquote, control this?
Yeah, I can, say a few words on that aspect. I think it's just the natural process of an artist to go from a small label or distribution company and start growing from there and getting to maybe a bigger one, and at some point go to one of the major labels and have a huge deal. So I think independent labels, independent distribution companies are key to the to the whole value chain of music, because we do also have a different focus. We're not focused only on the business. I mean, of course, the business it's important, and we have to make money to survive. But we do have a focus on the culture, on the music itself, on the quality of the music, and at the end, this is something that goes along with the economic development of any city, of any country. The from the small venues with the small stages, some of the biggest artists worldwide, they come from there. So independent labels, small distribution companies, small companies, they are an essential part of the value chain in music. And of course, Adele started with very small, and now her latest deal is I think it's with Sony Music, for millions. So artists start small, and when they grow big, a major label, they have the tools, they have the bandwidth, they have the teams worldwide to to grow and make these artists even bigger. So it's all of the part of the value chain, and there's a specific purpose at each stage of each artist in their careers?
Um, I, in my opinion, in my experience, I think I'll say yes, while currently major labels have control over this, um, through my experience, I have also witnessed independent artists being very afraid to sign to majors, mainly because it does kind of mean letting go of um some of your artistry and a lot of your finances to that. So in our case, in the way we are structured, we have we are an artist-led company. So our CEO and founder was an independent artist who didn't um say yes to any of the major label offers he got. And we are also a licensing based company, so we never buy songs because we believe that artists should have ownership of their songs. And one of our second signings, for example, Chris Gray, when we signed him, he had around 200K monthly listeners, and now he has, I believe, 5.5 million in a little over a year. His album was charting at the top 10 global charts for Spotify. Same with the single. He's just now been nominating for a Juno, and I know that this all happened from an indie label with a boutique team. So that is to say, I think there is something that major labels are slowly uh, getting maybe afraid of, just because we got attraction from major labels very early on to get bought out or um, have joint ventures with and received a lot of offers, because I think they're also seeing the value independent artists have and what they're capable of with so many distribution offers that they can have on their own. So I'm going to say, to answer your question, I don't think in the future that majors will still have control over this. Whether DIY distribution or boutique labels even have the control over this, I'm unclear, but I think it is likely. I also think with the time we're living in, with the power of social media and all these platforms, a lot of artists will be able to have this control of their music on their own. So I think it is not only a question of will it be indie labels or um, major labels. I think it is a broader question than that.
I would also be agreeing with a lot from what Julian and said has said, and but I just feel like the major labels are not like, I'm not really seeing them developing a huge volume of the next crop of global megastars, because even before you get to the major label or anything, the development stage starts from you being with either um an indie label, a DIY distributor, and we've seen a whole lot of success stories, with indie labels, indie distributors, with artists going global, and it's just a matter of time, and it's with the artist understanding, okay, these are what I'm getting with this particular deal. So I said the labels and DIY distributors should definitely keep on playing a huge role, and even more important role, with more larger share in developing crop of next global megastars.
Look, from my point of view, as somebody who is more new in the music industry itself, but I've been around for the web and watching the evolution of the web and the changes of the infrastructure and how people consume and how they share. And I see that here now in the music space. It's the same thing. The music industry is ripe for a change, a big change. There's a lot of frustration that artists have and that indie companies have, and even people who are part of the majors are having with the way the system is built. Yes, Spotify is the biggest platform, but if you want to make more money, YouTube is a different choice. Like, the market's changing. We have artists who are showing us how they're changing the market, and it's fascinating to watch it. And so, even though there is a certain way it has been happening up until now, I see that we're right now watching the beginning of those changes of the industry itself, and it's going to be interesting to see where it plays out.
Thank you all for that. Our next question comes in, and it's for Matthias. regarding marketing artists in Ghana. Are there any specific tools, tricks, things that you have found that help your marketing efforts when working within the country?
Okay, we do that for a couple of artists. Okay, using Ghana as an example, sure we do, and it's basically different and it's still similar in some ways also as well to any other part of the world, which is both either you legacy media and the new media format of getting the artist out there, which is going to the streets, either it's the DJs, the lounge, the radio. These are all things like when you're going out all out in terms of marketing for an artist, you need to have a team. You need to know, okay, what goals do we want to achieve with this release? What demographic are we targeting? What age group are we targeting? Like, okay, these are what really decides what kind of marketing we give an artist. And there are different types of releases. What is it, a seasonal release? So it's not just a one box fit all, but at High Vibe, this is what we sit down with the artists, we get to know, okay, this is what we can achieve, this within this time scale and all. And we get to spread it and work together as a team. But the most important thing is, knowing that okay, this is having a goal from the beginning. And as a goal, starting with a goal doesn't mean that okay, we're going to end with that. As the campaign goes on, there can be a twist in it. Maybe unexpectedly, you have an album, you're pushing maybe a 10-track album, and there's a focus track, and unexpectedly, and that track is picking up. Okay, so now it's like, okay, so now this is what the people wants to listen to. This is what happens a whole lot with artists in the artist. So at the end of the day, whichever way the audience gets to receive or accept the release, we still get to like, okay, make sure that the goal for the whole campaign is still being achieved at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. Our next question comes in from Alvin, and it's for you, Ahuva. When using the Revelator dashboard, is it easy to export composer and lyricist data?
To be fair, I am not the expert on our platform. I do have team members who are here who could probably answer that better. I don't actually have the answer to that. Is there anybody who's here from my team who's here who can answer that in the chat? Bruno, are you here? Greg, are you here? Somebody help me.
And folks, we do have a couple other Revelator specific questions. I'll be sure to send them over to the team so that way we get you answers from the folks, uh, and we'll get you going on that. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Our next question comes in from. Okay, I'll repeat the question. If it is easy to export composer or lyricist data from the Revelator dashboard, was what we were looking for.
Here we
Awesome.
go. Yep.
And there we go. Um, Thank you so much for that. Our next question comes in. I think this might be a good one for you, Julian. Looking to start an independent benefit concert promotion company. What specific music investors or type of investors would be good to pitch my idea to?
So it depends on many factors. It's not a like a one way answer. I would say your investors at the beginning are going to be your partners, the companies that you're going to be working with, or the people that you want to bring into your event. For us, our initial investors were the companies within the music industry that wanted to have this space. So they helped us, giving us financial resources to help us produce the event. There was also an investment from our side because every new idea or every new company requires an investment at the beginning, to grow. So we did a small investment, believing in what we were doing and thinking that there was a niche that was looking for the space that we were building. And I think for bringing, depending on the size of the investors, but at the beginning, if you're looking for maybe small investors that can help you build the idea, I would look into into your close circle of colleagues or friends that have the same interest, and pitching them the idea. And then as your event grows, you might be able to find bigger investors that want to invest more money. And once you've proved that your idea has value and that people are resonating with it, then of course, for sure you will get bigger investors. But at the beginning, I would work on your close niche of friends, colleagues within the industry. Pitch them the idea, and maybe make a beta test of what you want to do. Like, don't go big all at once unless you do have a lot of experience. If you do have a lot of experience, well, you can go big. But if you're starting from scratch, do something small, test the idea, make it better, and once you see that there's potential, then naturally, organically, people and investors are going to come to help you build this vision that you have.
Fun fact, you can use ChatGPT to look up a list of investors. You can ask them for specific types of investors and they will throw it back at you. So if you're looking for family businesses who invest in certain areas or in the arts, things like that, ChatGPT is an excellent tool. Data's a little out of touch, but it's there. I used to do it for investments in other areas. So it's a cool tool.
100%. Other thing that you could do is look into similar companies that are doing what you want to do, and find who's involved with these companies. Have they received investment from another big company, or who are the owners of these companies? That's another exercise that you could do. But I 100% agree with you, Ayuba. ChatGPT is the best tool for like any question that you have.
Also, Perplexity. Perplexity is fantastic. We're searching the internet without actually getting all of the spam or sites. They give you actual sources of information. They list the sources for the answers they give you, which is really, really helpful.
Interesting.
Another one. There was another question about scaling, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see the questions in front of me. Hold on a second. It was from nope.
Yes, I see it from Rick. The question was, I'd love to know your scale up strategies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I spoke on it a little, but to just say it again, I think generally working on finding the internet niches that work for an artist, and also trying to get the artist in the right related artist pool, and then growing their audience from there on, and then backing it up with more traditional marketing.
All right, so I think we've had a really great session tonight. I really appreciate everybody joining us for tonight. I hope that it's been invaluable, gotten pieces of information and information in areas that you might not have thought about or realized. Obviously, you've got questions to Revelator. You can always reach me. I am Ahuva, AHUVAH at revelator.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if I don't know the answers, like previously, I'm happy to connect you with my colleagues who certainly have the answers. We're going to be at Music Biz, so we're looking forward to seeing the community there and seeing everybody who's there. And we're really appreciative for you, to you, Matthias, and to you, Julian, for joining us and sharing your insights and your information about your businesses to the rest of us. Thanks, Music Biz.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you,
good one,
everyone.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
being here today. Thanks for sharing your time. Thank you, everyone who attended. Thank you for all your questions. Super grateful to have you here today. Look forward to welcoming you to the next webinar and hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.